Welcome to Doug Does Stuff. I'm Doug from the future. Listen, I just got done making this video, doing the outro and just trying to finish it up. And all I gotta say is, wow, 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 wow. I did not believe that the Funssor was going to give me the results that I saw. It is simply amazing. I can't wait for you guys to watch the video. Listen, it's a long video. All my videos are long. I just can't help it. Watch the intro, watch the outro. I've chapterized it. Go through the install. There's some key stuff in there that you should watch. I want to thank Funssor for doing this with me. Look in the description for links to buy things. Leave a comment. Let me know if you're getting the Funssor. If you have it, what you think. Like, subscribe, and off to Doug from the past. Take it away. Welcome to Doug Does Stuff. I'm Doug, and here we are, still in my basement, and still here with my Kobra S1. Listen, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving if you celebrate. Maybe you picked up a Kobra S1 combo. Maybe you picked up another 3D printer. Hopefully you're just getting started into 3D printing, or you got something else to move you along. Whatever it is, first, thanks for being here. If you're new, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. And if you're coming back, again, thank you. I appreciate you taking your time to watch my content. So why are we here? Well, if you didn't guess from the title of the video or the cheesy thing behind me going, Govey, I'm a sucker, you got me. Anyway, why are we here? We're here to talk about this, the Kobra S1, and we're here to put bed leveling issues to bed. We got in the door from Funssor a new bed and a new carrier plate. Now, I reached out to Funssor a while ago after some back and forth. They've agreed to collaborate with me on this video. So in all transparency, because I believe transparency is important here, especially on YouTube, Funssor did send me the heated, the bed, the heated mat that goes with it. They did not send me this piece, which I bought with my own money. So let's get into this. Let's see what we're looking at and go from there. To start, I'm going to say nice packaging. Hard corners around the outside. Good job on you, Funssor, for taking the time to make sure that your product arrives safely. All right. Let's hit the fast forward button. Wow, that was seriously a lot of tape. And good job. I mean, listen, I feel like it's one of those presents that just keeps going and going and going. Let's get this open. Let me show you what it is. I can't argue with the packaging here. So get out of there. Gosh darn it, we gotta do more. Don't get aggressive. Don't get aggressive. Just get it open. All right, what we have here is their newer 7075 steel plate. This is the carrier that is going to replace that thin sheet metal carrier that Anycubic has given us. I'm very excited about this one because in talking to people that have done this before, they say that the other one is a really heavy plate. The original Funssor plate is super heavy, and it leaves a little bit to be desired. So, you know, I wanted to go this route. So, wow, that's light. That's important. That little cutout in the back, super important. This is going to go on the bottom. All right, so don't lose those screws in there, hiding right there. All right, put this out of the way. Let's put this up there. Now let's get into this. Now, I've already taken off the corners and cut the tape. This was equally difficult to get into from the other one. All right, so in the box, we have, holy crap, this thing is heavy. The same packaging and all that. which much appreciated. I only got this far, and I had to do it because when it came, it was raining out, and they just left it outside, which I don't get. Anyway, like I said, this was sent to me by Funssor, which I greatly appreciate. And in this DIY kit, I believe it's called, and all the links to all this will be in the description. You have screws and springs. You have the heated mat, which you have to plug in, and there's some directions on here for 110 volt and 220 volt. But I've also heard if you reach out, they are phenomenal with their customer support. So that's that. Let's put that over here. See, there's no room. They've also included in this kit a seriously heavy, the magnet for the top of the bed so that you can put your PEI sheet or other magnetic sheet. Now, and they also included a PEI spring steel sheet. What's important to know is there's difference here, and I really wanted to try the other bed, but I'm not going to complain. Thank you again, Funssor. The other plate got magnets all in it, so you don't need to put this sheet on here. The only thing I see with this sheet is, just like the other magnetic sheets, which I guess really shouldn't be that big of a deal, is it's got a little bit give to it, a little bit. Is that going to make a difference? I don't know. We've been fighting bed leveling issues. What's going to make the biggest difference is this ultra flat, heavy, seriously heavy plate with locating pins and all that. So that's where we're at. We got all this. The next thing we have to do is we got to make room. We got to start installing this. So to install this, we're going to need to really break down the Kobra S1. I'm going to take the door off so I don't break anything. We're going to take out all of the insides. We're going to take out the stock plate, the stock carriage. We're going to undo the wiring. You have to take off the back panel as well, which is like 300 screws, because you're going to need to get into this thing to run wires and all that. So I'm going to do my best to show you how to install the Funssor bed. You've seen my bed level. It's at about a 0.3 to a 0.4. That's not acceptable. Let's see if this thing makes it ender acceptable. All right, let's go. All right, we're going to get started taking apart our Kobra S1. I'm going to do my best to give you the best angle so that you can see what I'm doing. But listen, if you're not comfortable doing this, don't do it. And lastly, if you haven't already, you're going to void your warranty by doing this. So keep that in mind. Do it if you're comfortable. Know that you're going to void your warranty. Oh, and last, take pictures, because pictures can save your tuchus should you ever need to. All right, let's get started with taking off the door. Really simple, a couple screws and it comes right off. We're going to need a 2.0. So let me zoom you in over here. Very simple. You've got 4 screws. I would take it off the plastic, being the, use that magnetic plate to your advantage. There it is. Now these do have what looks like blue Loctite on them. And it's going to come off. I don't think you need to put it back on there unless, oh, get out of there. Unless you really want to later. I'm not going to be putting it back on. All right, last one. Door comes off. Put this out of the way so that you don't run into it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the back plate. There are literally like 30 screws on this thing. You're going to need a 2.0 and a 2.5 Allen wrench here. I like these. I got these off of Amazon. I don't know, just look them up. Look for one that looks like this and get those if you want. All right, first up, we're going to take off our spool holder. I really need to print that like side spool holder. I think that's going to be the next video. Like all the best mods for the Kobra S1 we print them up and put them on. That'd be cool. That might be the next video. But I really just have to, I got to get this done so that I can then, I got to print a couple things in ABS. All right, so those screws are 2.5. Ones on the outside are going to be 2.0. And there's a couple other screws that we need to be aware of. First, let's undo our hub controller. Push down on the black, push the tube down with it, and then pull out. Push down on the black, push the tube down, and then pull out. Comes right out. All right, take these out. Take these out. All right. Don't lose it. All right, so I'm just going to work my way around getting all these out. We do have a couple screws that are going to be different lengths and the ones that are going to be coarse and fine. The fine are on the outside. The coarse is plastic, like the ones that go into the plastic. So let's do those first. So like this here, you're going to see when I take it out. I don't know if you can see that or not. Camera. This screw, see it's got coarse threads on it. Hopefully it shows. The coarse threads are the ones that go into plastic. All right, like the back of the poop chute hole there is plastic. Not the thing I 3D printed. All right. And I'm just putting these all on my magnetic bed. Right down here, the power supply is also a coarse thread screw. And that's that. Yeah, dude, what's up?
Can I help you take apart?
Sure. Why don't you come over here, take this,
Wait,
and start undoing this.
Wait, does that actually fit?
Yep. Now turn the other way. Lefty loosey. There.
Yeah, you don't have to hold it.
I don't have to hold it. Okay. Cool. All right. I'm going to hit the pause button and get another one so I can help you. Well, actually, you know what? You just keep going. I'm going to get another one. You just threw them in there?
I was like this.
Did it go in the poop chute and back out? I love you, my son.
But it caused trouble. I was like that.
Okay.
But he'll have it.
Yeah, thank you. I prefer to do it that way. Is it about being fast or is it about being right?
Being right.
Okay. You like doing this stuff?
Yeah. Like taking stuff apart.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when I took all my Hess trucks apart?
Oh, yeah.
Gee, that was a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Batteries were gone the whole time.
All right, cool. So we got out all the screws. We're just going to take off the bed. Just got to get around that little rubber thing there. Not the bed.
Went in there though.
Well, I really hope not. We got to take off, not the bed, the back cover. All right, cool. So now we have this done. You see this wire? I need you to step out of the way so people can see what's going on here. We have to follow this wire, which goes into here, that we're now going to have to take off. And this is going to be a dad thing because there's a lot of other wiring and stuff that we don't want to hit. So let me bring the people down. I need you out of the way. So there's a couple screws here we have to take off. There's one right back here because we're going to have to take off this cover.
See.
All right. That is also a coarse screw. And there's one down here at the bottom.
Wow, Dad, you're doing so good.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, and that's it. Just those two. Then you got to come over here, wind it around that. That's that. All right, so this goes to our bed, and we have black, yellow attached here. Now, the two blacks don't matter because they're not. There's not a positive or a negative, and then the yellow green is going to be the ground. So you're just going to pull those out. They're not the easiest. There is a little tiny clip that you have to depress to get it out. Hard to do this with the camera. There we go. All right, so let me show you here. We're going to have to follow that one too. But on here, you'll see there's a little, I don't know, like a little flap that if you press on it, if you can press through the plastic and then pull, don't pull hard, right? Try and either pull the plastic off or press down and then pull off. All right, after that, we're going to have to follow it the rest of the way. So I need that, thank you. I need that, thank you. All right, now we're going to have to take off 1, 2, 3 so we can pull this plate off of here. Oh no, haha, look at that. I missed all those up there. There's 4 up here too. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, because this is going into plastic, I bet you these are going to be, not these, the next one, sorry, are going to be coarse. Yep. See, coarse screw in the down here. Those are coarse screws. Everything else is fine screws. Oh. Can you grab that? I got it. Okay, no losing stuff, all right? All right, so then the last piece of this you have to follow goes up here. It's a yellow plug. You just pull it out, 1, and then we have to somehow root it out of there. Perfect. All right, once you've gotten this far, you've gotten your bed disconnected. Now we're going to put this, we're going to put 1 screw back in this just so that it is not holding, you know, or pulling on, excuse me, so it's not pulling on the wires just while we do the next step here. All right, cool. So that's that. All right, let's turn this around and do the next step. All right, so we got this turned around. We have the back panel off at this point. We have the wires undone. Now we have to take off the bed itself. To do this, we are just going to unscrew the carriage from 1, 2, 3 of the Z screws. Let's drop this down to give us some room. If you don't know how to do that, tilt your printer backwards and then reach underneath and you'll feel the belt. Just twist the belt. Yeah, I gotta do some cleaning in here apparently. Stop. All right, now that that's down, can I have my 2.0 please? Thank you. All you're gonna do is very simple. Just unscrew 1. And voila, these are all the same size, at least on mine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now, look at that. Comes right out. Alrighty. Do a little finagling. You might have to do 1 wire at a time because they're so thick. 1. Do a little twist and turn in here. 2, 3, 4. And now we have removed the stock bed. All right, cool. Let's get you repositioned and go to the next step. Just really quickly here. Now that I've got everything stripped out, it's a really good opportunity to go ahead and get things cleaned if you haven't cleaned them in a while. So like cleaning your Z screws, your rails, all of that. I have a video on that. Look up there. See if I can do it this time. If not, it'll be in the description. So yeah, do that. I'm going to do that to mine, and then we're going to start putting things together. So be right back. All right, so before we get started on the next step here, we have our bed disassembled, and I just wanted to take a quick look at the Funssor bed versus the stock bed. Now I have 2 stock beds here. I have an original stock bed, which is still in the box. I have my original that I modified the first time to try and level it, and I just want to show you that it doesn't come out. Now there it goes. So this is the stock bed, right? You see the wobble in that? That's not good. On top of that, you move over to the, let me zero this out. This is the heated plate and the magnetic sheet together. You can see that it is aluminum with the thin magnetic sheet, and all together, it's about 3 millimeters, and the magnetic sheet itself, if I can catch an edge here, not the magnetic sheet, sorry, 2. The aluminum plate is 2 millimeters thick with a 1 millimeter magnetic sheet on it, and then this bed, which is flimsy as can be. All right, so that's the stock bed. Let me just put this off to the side. This is the one we just took off. Move these off to the side here. This is the one we just took off. This was my last bed mod where I drilled out all the holes in the magnetic sheet because the aluminum plate underneath this has holes in it. And then I screwed in some M3 screws. Go watch that video. It went into detail how I did it. On top of that, I put in my bed stiffener to try and push up those taco corners in the back, those corners that go down like this. And then here is the carrier plate. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in there. Let me see here. I'll grab it right here. This carrier plate is about 1.5 millimeters thick, it looks like. Yeah, the carrier plate is 1.5 millimeters of stamped steel. This also, just, you can see it just when I do this. You see it moving and twisting. And when this plate heats up, it exerts that force on that thin metal aluminum plate and then twists it. And that's why we're getting all of those, bad bed levels. All right, so that's this. Let's take this and just put it off to the side. And let's bring in the Funssor. So this is the Funssor 7075. That was 1.5 millimeter carriage. This carriage is just over 4.1 millimeter thick, 7075 steel. Is it steel or aluminum? I'll have to double check. I'll put a little text up. All right, so that's that. Then we have the magnetic sheet. The heated plate. This is going to be this way to heat it up. It's going to go underneath. And then we're going to have our aluminum bed plate. Let's take this off of here now. Gosh, man, they really take time to make sure you don't damage the corners. And if you don't appreciate that, you probably haven't had anything else shipped to you. That is a little bit delicate. All right. God, come on. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to be aggressive. Just excited. All righty, there we go. Take that. Get that out of here. All right, and then you're going to have this. This is upside down, but you're going to get the point like that. Now, like this. Sorry, like that. And then we're going to have this, which is going to sit on top. And then we'll have our PEI sheet on that. This is pretty substantial. This here, 1.6. We said this one was 1 millimeter on the stock plate. But here's the difference. What I said that was 1.5 millimeters of stamped steel. A Funssor, it's going to be upside down. 8 millimeters. This ain't bending, folks. And I'm super excited about that. This is not going to bend. Hopefully this is level as can be. We're going to put this on. We're going to put that on. We're going to put this together. And this is hopefully going to be the answer to making the Kobra S1 just that much better. So that's the difference. Let's get set up and let's get this back together. All right, so here we go. We are going to put this together, or what we have to do before we put it into the printer like I said, here's our carriage. Very excited about that. We actually don't need that at this moment. We're going to need this, which is the heated mat. We're going to need the aluminum plate, which has a top and a bottom, right? The top side is the one with the locating pins, and the bottom is with the pins, pointing away from you. And then you also need your magnetic mat. Now, as well as your jumper. So if you're in the USA, you are going to connect the blue to the blue, the red to the red. If you're somewhere else that uses 220, you're not going to do that. So all we're going to do is line these up, and they should just go. You might have to pull back on this insulation. You shouldn't just jump right in. Now, I will say the one thing is that there is not very good directions or any directions that I have found from Funssor for this for this bed. It'd be nice if they had some, but guess what? You got me and others out there in the community who have done this and put it up here. All right, come on, get around there. All right, just work it on. Same thing over here. Pull it back. Put it in. And then put your little thing over the top of it. And you can watch me struggle with this. There we go. Get it on there. Whew, that was hard. Nope. All right. Well, that was not easy. I know they're not meant to go over each other, but we definitely want to cover it up because we don't want that metal touching anything. All right. So now we have that done. The first thing we want to do is put on our magnetic top sheet, which is this. Now, here's the thing with the magnetic top sheet, wow, that is so close. Back here, these locating pins, the sheet is just a hair too big. I mean, you could let it go, or you're going to do what I'm going to do is get a knife, and we're just going to cut a little triangle out. We're going to center it left to right, cut out a little triangle so that we can slip it backwards. All right, with a sharp knife, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this towards us so I can see it. Center it left to right. And then I'm just going to take a little tiny triangle out of the back. There's one little piece, two little pieces, and now that should, see, now we can move it right where we need it. Perfect. We just want to center it up. All right, next thing. Let's get this out of our way. We want to make sure we have some space. We are going to clean the top of the plate with a little rubbing alcohol, or not a rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. We're going to put on, I'm not going to put on gloves because with my luck, I would catch the sticky backing and then be stuck. All right, so take this. We want to wipe this down really well. We don't want any oils left over. All right, we're going to do this a second time. We want to ensure that this is good and clean so that we give our magnetic plate the best opportunity to stick. Now that looks very clean. Next step, let's get this on here. So we are going to center it where we want it. We're going to hold it down. No, we want to make sure that we are centered everywhere. Good, 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 good all the way around. All right, once you have that, you're going to hold it on one side so that it doesn't move. Make sure you don't move it. Come to the other side, and you want to peel back. See, I already moved it. Son of a gun. Come on, baby. Using a knife helps. All right. So again, center it because I moved it. Peel this back to, try not to touch the sticky side, to just beyond the holes. Make sure we're lined up well. Because once this touches, it ain't going to want to move. I like to touch in the middle, start in the middle, and then work my way out. We don't want any air bubbles if at all possible. All right, now we have that. Flip it over this way. Pull this out. And you can do this in lifts, you know, small little at a time. Work from the center out. If your basement is cold like mine, this is some pretty rigid material. All right. Then I'm going to pull it out. I'm still going to hold it up because I want to then hold up the edges, start at the middle, and work my way out to the edge, right out to the edges. All right. So now, just go over it, make sure that this is well adhered. And you've got the making of the magnetic build plate. Let's grab a build plate. We'll take you. Yeah, I know it's not the right one, but ooh, it sticks. Perfect. All right, so now our magnetic sheet is done. And again, just make sure everywhere is down. I got that down just absolutely beautiful. I am going to say, I cut out those notches, and it must have moved on me because it's not sticking out the back like I wanted it to. Not going to be a big deal in the end. It really isn't because I'm not printing over there. It's just going to bother me personally because I like it to be perfect. And if you see, I got it hanging off the top edge. Son of a nutcracker. Anyway, moving on because there's nothing we can do about it because we are not peeling. We're not peeling that off. All right, same thing on the back side. Just make sure when you put your plate down, you either raise it up a little bit or you hang the pins off the back edge so that you don't break them. This side's a little bit more forgiving because, ooh, see how dirty that is? That's why you're cleaning it. The back is a little more forgiving because you don't have to worry about bubbles. You do have to worry about getting it on correctly though, because this, you definitely want the wires coming out the correct side, which is the pin side, because that's the back of your printer. All right, get that all rubbed down. Rub it, rub it, rub it, rub it. Nice and clean. Perfect. All right. We're going to put this on the same way, but again, not as mission critical as the other side. Line it up nice and nice. Make sure that we can at least get our screw holes through, which it looks like. To me, that's more critical than anything. Hold that where it goes, and then it's going to be the same idea. You see it moving around. It's not as easy as I want to make it sound because, again, now it's all over the place. that's going to work. You do have some, if you catch it just wrong, you can pull it back up as long as it hasn't been sticking for a while. All right. And then just go through. This is a 1,000-watt heating mat. Man, that is just going to bother the bejesus out of me where I messed that up. Sure, I could trim it off with a knife, but that's not what this is about. I mean, I guess it is. All right. All right, cool. So that's on there. This wire right here that is stuck to it is going to, I'm assuming, have to go over here. That's our ground wire. But we'll tackle that when we get to it. Cool. All right. Nice. We got that together. Now our next step is to get this in the machine. So let's get the machine up here and get this thing going. All right, so we just got done previously putting on the magnetic sheet and the heating mat onto our 8mm aluminum plate. So that's all set to go. Now we have to mount that inside the printer. But the first thing to go in is going to be the gantry. But we want to make sure that our gantry is, get that on there, is all in plane, meaning the carriage mounts for the front 2 Z-screws and the back C-screw, that they're on the same plane. Because if they're not, and let's say, I'm going to exaggerate here for you, we have a left to right tilt, that's excessive. But if we have that, we will be able to compensate with the bed and the springs and all that. But that's going to give unnecessary wear and tear on the bearings and the Z-screws here because you're going to be binding up. To make that worse, if you have that same tilt and then also a tilt backwards, then you have like this geometry that is going to cause wear, tear, and other problems on your printer. So we're going to try and eliminate that right now. And we're going to take a little bit out of Anycubic's playbook in putting in a new bed. When you put in a new stock bed, you're supposed to run it all the way to the bottom and then continue moving the belt in order to drop all of those carriages as far down as possible. We're going to do that, and then we're going to raise it up, and we're going to measure the height of the gantry in these parts using the top of the X rail over here. And I'll bring you in closer when we get there. But that's the goal here. So to do that, you have to do what we call belt skipping. And belt skipping is when we tilt our printer back and we're going to loosen the tension. So let me zoom you in here. All right, perfect. So here on the bottom of the printer, you have a tension screw right here that we're going to loosen, and that's going to loosen that up. And then we're going to have to take off the spring here. So you just pull it off like that. Now you've taken off the tension off of this. All right, so let me tilt this back up. Don't want to catch that. All right, so now that you're here, I'm going to back you up just a little bit. There you go. I'm going to move down my Z screws. I got to tilt it back a little bit so I can get my hand down there, all the way to the bottom. You just grab that belt and you just keep moving it all the way down. And the idea is to bottom out these carriages. All right, so now that you're at the bottom, I can actually look at this, and you can't see it, but this one is further up than this one. So just keep moving that belt until it doesn't move anymore. And by doing that, I have now hopefully lowered all three as low as they go. I'm going to get my head in your way. I'm sorry. All right, that's as low as it goes. That's as low as it goes. And that's as low as it goes. All right, so now we have put our carriage at the lowest possible point. We're now going to grab our Funssor carriage here, or carrier plate, and we're going to install it. So you're just going to come on in, you're going to line it up in those 3 mounts, and we are going to, I'm going to reuse the screws that came out of there originally. The ones provided by Funssor are longer, but it has a different thread. It's a coarser thread than this one, and if you use it, then you have to rethread the plastic that's in there, and I don't want to do that. And I think these are going to be long enough anyway, so we're going to give it a go. Let's start back here. Yeah, those are fine. All right, I'm not going to tighten them. I'm just going to get them in there and zip through this. All right, here we are on the last one. I think I failed to say it. To get these to go in right, go backwards, go left first until you hear it and you feel it kind of click in, and then you know you're in the thread pattern. So I've gotten them all in. Now I'm just going to tighten them down. I don't know why. I'm just going to do a star pattern here. We have the carriage installed. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put back on the tensioner. We're going to retighten it, and now we're going to run it all the way up. So tilt your printer backwards. Grab this thing here. It's easiest if you honestly, it's easier with a pair of pliers, but you can do it with your hand as you saw using a 2.5. I made a mark where it was originally, so I'm just gonna put that back there and tighten that up. That's back together. We can now come over here, and now we can run our gantry all the way up. And we're at the top. And it looks like everything is touching, so cool. Now that we're at the top, what I want to do is get some sort of measuring device. I'm going to use a digital caliper, and I'm just going to measure at the points of where the gantry meets. So let me get you in a little bit closer so you can see. Whoop, not kick that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my caliper. I'm going to zero it out, and I am going to use the top as my standoff. And listen, I'm going to do my best here to get this as close as possible to being correct. I just want it to go on there. I want to make sure that that looks to be 111.6. I'm going to run it over here. I'm going to do the same thing on this gantry mount. That's 113, so that's 0.2 off. I'm going to do this a couple times here just to see. Now that's 111 even. And honestly, I just want this to be close because I'm going to use the bed and the springs to, oh boy, and that one's 110. Let's do it one more time. Take a couple over here. There it is. Oh, you know what it is? I'm hitting the screen. 111. So each of my, and listen, I know that's not scientific, each of my mounting points are at about 111 millimeters off of the top of my X rail here. Why is that important? Because like I said, I don't want it to bind up when I go to move it up and down. All right, so we are done with that. we're at the next step, which is now to install the bed. Now this is going to be a little bit difficult because you have to get the springs to stay there while you get the screws in and go through there. All right. I originally thought about getting some standoffs, some solid standoffs, or printing some TPU spacers, but I really think the springs are the way to go. These are really heavy springs, and that's going to allow us to move this hopefully ultra flat bed. Let me get it over here. It's going to allow us to move this ultra flat bed in any tilt that we need. We're not looking with the Funssor bed. We're not looking to take the warp out of the bed. The purpose of this 8 millimeters of milled aluminum is to have an ultra flat surface. We are now looking to deal with the tilt. All right, so no side tilt, no back and forward tilt, and that's what we're going to tackle after we get this installed. So let's go to the next step. Let's try and get this installed. The only thing I'm going to say before we even get started is these are M4, I believe, 20 millimeter screws. I really wish they were M4 like 25. Give us a little bit extra, because just putting this on here, there is not much to work with to grab those threads at the bottom. All right, let's get set up to do this. All right, so here we are. We're ready to install the bed, the 8 millimeter bed, on the gantry and run our wiring. The first thing I just want to note, like I said, I got the springs to go with it, and I actually found some M4 25 millimeter screws, and I think that's going to be the way to go. I think it's just going to give us a little extra length to get through the bed itself and then through the gantry. And then honestly, if it's long enough, I can put a jam nut on the bottom and stop it from moving down the road. But first, we got to get our wiring in there. So I'm going to move you a little bit closer and show you what's going on here. All right, so we have to get this wiring bundle on the back of the Funssor bed out the back and in through there. Let's make sure we come in here. Now, you got to take note that, there we go, excuse me, that this wiring harness is considerably beefier than the stock one. And because of that, you're going to run into some trouble getting it through there. Best way to do it is do one wire at a time. I'll show you what I mean here. So we're going to do the thermistor, our first black wire. Try not to get in your way here. All right, that's in. I'm going to move you off to the side. Hopefully, maybe you can see a little bit better. There we go, moved you off to the side. So we got the thermistor, we got the black wire. As we push these out the back, you're going to get to a point where you're going to bind. So now you need to do one at a time. Make sure you are not splitting those wires. Pull those out of the way. Now I'm going to do the blue wire first. So pull back on the red, give yourself some room, get that bundle through, get the red bundle through, and then do the black, the next black or the next yellow as you come through there, and it's getting tight. So there we go. We got them all through. All right, once you got that, the microphone wanted to stick there. Once you got that, you're going to want to come and just run it straight out the back, because now we need to ensure that our wires are not twisted like mine are. All right, you want a nice flat ribbon. Come on, coming out the back. And it's going to take some work. So coming off the bed, I want to keep it as flat as possible. See how I'm twisted right there? Just twist that over. Twist that over. Just work at it. Take your time. Flat, 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 flat through the bed. And when it's flat, it just slides really nicely. Now you got to leave yourself some room because you're going to have to push the bed back. This has to come down there. That has to go there. All right, so now we have our wiring bundle kind of out the back of the printer. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our standoffs. So, okay, so now let's get our standoffs in, or our springs. I'm going to start by putting in all of my longer M425s just as a centering. And we might have to move the bed down just a little bit just to get it away from the nozzle. So let's do that. There we go. Give us a little bit of room. All right, so now we're just going to work our way around and get all of our all right, so cool. We have all of our springs in place. Now it's just a matter of moving our bed around until we get it locked in. So here we go. Now to do this, I'm just gonna try and peek and, oh, see that? Just move it. And then once you have one in place, don't go right to tightening, right? Back it off until you hear it kind of catch. Do that. Did you hear that? It gives it a little pop, and that means you're lined up on the threads, and then you can start it. So start one, try and get the other one to find its place. See that? Go backwards until you hear it pop. And if it's any bit tight like that was, do it again. So backwards. There it is. And when I go to, there it goes. Just take off a little bit of pressure and it goes right in. All right, so that's the front two. Let's do the back one. All right, so now that I have all of these started, how am I going to set them as a starting point? That's a hard decision. I think what I'm going to do is run it down until I feel the screw coming out the bottom. All right, so I've gone all the way around and feeling underneath where the screw comes through, I can feel it has just started, but I know this isn't very tight and I want this to be a little bit tighter. So I'm just going to squeeze the bed and I'm going to give it a couple turns so that I have a few threads, and I'll show you in a second, sticking out the bottom. I'm going to try and get each one the same all the way around. If you have to, take tension off the bed by pressing down on the spring and twisting. I mean, I could be even better and get out the caliper and measure this and that, but there we go. And I actually, I prefer this to be tighter. So even still, I'm going to go down a couple more turns on each one. All right. That's sticking out. All right, so I have each one kind of set where I think is going to be best. Let me show you what we're looking at. All right, so let's come off the camera and come down and you can see what I'm talking about. So you see the screws, get a pointer right there coming through because I used the M425 there, there, and there. All right, because I use the M425, I have a little extra length that comes through. If you use the stock screws, which are perfectly acceptable, they're going to be tight and they're just going to be flush on the bottom. So that might be where you want to start. That is entirely up to you. All right, so at this point, we've got the bed installed. We got the gantry installed. Now we got to flip around and we got to install the wiring. So hold on. All right, so we just want to make sure that when our wiring is coming through, it's coming through to the right side of this Z screw. Because you see this up here, we're going to wrap around. Now the original um, harness went through these little hooks here, here, and down and across. That's going to be hard because this is a pretty beefy set of cabling, as I've said. You want to make this as flat as possible coming out the back. And you'll see you really, you can't get it in there. You're going to end up breaking it. But, so don't do that. Get it nice and flat, wrap it around. Your wires will be like 4 wires nice and flat across. Come around. And then you're going to use this little nib here to put a wire tie on that. There we go. All right, not the best, but it's going to hold it there. There we go, that's better. All right, so we have our wire tie in place. Now we have to hook up the wiring. All right, so the mat says that the red and blue go to black and then go to positive. Well, there's no positive or negative on this board, and I really don't think it matters, but I'm going to put the red and the blue to the top. I'm going to put the standalone black to the middle. Come here. And then I'm going to put the yellow, which needs to be ground, to the bottom, which is, well, ground. And voila, you're all clicked in. Next thing you need to do is you need to run your thermistor up here. So we got to take off this momentarily. And for that, we need my 2.0. Send this up through the way it came out before. There we go, up. And this goes up here into the yellow plug. Voila. Make sure that's routed. Let's get this back together. Alrighty, so that is back together. All right, so just going to move you out of my way here for a second. What I want to do first is I want to lower my bed all the way to the bottom just to run the full range. So pick this up and turn it around. And be careful because you have added some substantial weight at this point to your printer, and you'll notice it when you pick it up. All right, so tilting it back. I just want to make sure I have the full range here. I actually don't. It bottoms out maybe 4 millimeters off the bottom. So I would just, I would be careful when doing a full-size print. I would go on the safe side. I wouldn't go the full 250, maybe 240, maybe 230. Let's run this back down and see if we can see why. So the reason I can't go down the full way is that thick harness in the back. God, this thing is heavy now. Right, the reason I can't go all the way down is this harness underneath here is getting caught and pushing up the bed and not letting this Z screw go far enough down. I honestly don't know how you would fix that. All right, so is what it is. I would just be careful going all the way down. All right, let's get this back cover on and go from there. All right, so this just has just kind of fits in here. There's a slot back there. I would. All right, listen, I apologize. I didn't video it, and I'm really sorry. But this caused a lot of swearing. It It really did. This was not the easiest piece to put back in, this black cover here, because the Funssor cabling is so thick, and there's all of this extra wire from the blue and the red that it's just not easy. And you're trying not to pinch wires behind it. So you just got to work at it. Is it going to work? Yeah, you can get it in there. Yeah, do your best, go slow. Don't catch anything that you don't want to catch on there. And you can get it back in there. We got everything put back together, and I think we're ready to try it out. So let's get this thing turned around, plugged in, and see what happens. All right, so now we've got the wiring hooked up, we've got our printer turned around, and what's the next thing we need to do? Well, we need to run a bed level. So here is my PEI sheet, and I've cleaned it, made sure there's nothing on the magnetic plate of the carriage, and let's do a bed level. Wrong thing, Douglas. Calibration, auto leveling, okay. And let's run this and then go check it over in Rinkhals and see what it shows. All right, let's hit the refresh button and see what our bed level looks like. Holy Jesus. 1.29. Well, I can tell you that is not the gantry. That is our screws are way off. So this is the front. This is bad. This is the front of the bed, front left corner. So we're going to drop these Z screws, these nuts, bolts, whatever the heck they're called. We're going to go screw those down. So let's come back over here. All right, so you saw how unlevel that was. So what we're going to do is now we're going to come over here. We saw in our Rinkhals mesh that it was tilted, and we're just going to turn it down one turn because it was 1.2 off. And now we're going to rerun the bed level. And that's going to be the process. We're going to run, we're going to check, we're going to run, we're going to check. And we're going to see where it's high or low in the bed mesh and Rinkhals on our 3x3 grid. We're using 3x3 again because it goes quicker. And we're going to just get the bed now in plane with where we need it to be. And it's going to be small incremental turns. Like I'm talking like an 1/8 inch, maybe even a 1/16 inch turn, depending on how off it is. And we're going to try and get this as close as possible. Now, here's going to be the only factor that could be throwing us off is our PEI sheet. PEI sheet has has coarser texture. Some are coarser than others. And because of that, if you catch a mountain, we'll call it, they're going to be higher than if you catch a valley. So if you're really close, run the bed level like 2 times and see if it's exactly the same or if it changes. So with that adjusted, I'm going to continue this process probably over the next hour, I would imagine, because I'm going to go in slow increments to try and dial this in. When I get to where I'm happy, I'll come back and show you. All right, so I've spent the better part of 4 hours messing with the bed because I can't be satisfied with anything that's not perfect, and that just might not be possible. I've gotten this down to 0.038, 0.04, 0.05, and it's fluctuated up and down depending on what I've done to it, and it's just little tweaks. I'm thinking it might be coming down to the PEI sheet and like the ridges in it. I did try the smooth plate and got pretty much the same results. So then my last thought is that maybe it's the pressure, and if I change the pressure, I might get something better. But I did my last bed level, and I'm just going to go with it. Let's see what it came out to. It came out to 0.052. Listen, 0.052 is so much better than where we were at like a 0.8 deviation. 0.05 versus 0.8. That's what, if a layer height is 0.2, half a layer height is 0.1, and then half more would be 0.05. So I mean, that's pretty good. We're under half a layer height of deviation versus 4 layers or more. So that's where we're at. Next thing we have to do is we have to come over here and we've got to put on the back of the printer. You don't need to watch me put on the back of the printer. I am going to turn it off and unplug it, let it sit for an hour because we have to go somewhere. And then I'm just going to put it back in, putting in all the screws. Just remember where your coarse ones go. And if you have questions, reverse this and watch the part where I took it apart. All right. Oh, I went down the wrong pipe. All right, here we are in my basement workshop. I've got my Kobra S1 back where it lives, here in the corner, all hooked up, door on, back panel on. I just got done running a full calibration, and I just want to give you some thoughts on the Funssor bed. So the Funssor bed, installing it, I think it's pretty easy. It took me a long time because I would install it, I would have to uninstall it. I was figuring things out and I was reshooting to try and give you guys the best look of how to do it. Now, this was a long video because I wanted to make sure that the detail was there for anybody who might be going through this. I think you could do it in an evening at most, at least getting it, installed. Follow what I did, watch the video first. Don't make the mistakes I made. Do what I do in the video, especially with getting the carriage in. I think that was keen when you're lowering it all the way to the bottom, because now I can tell you that my carriage is all on plane or within a 0.009 of each other. So I think that's really important. So I think it's a great bed. I think it is pretty darn flat. My issues with it is my front set screw up here where you set the height. That one binds up for whatever reason, and I got to press on the bed. And other than that, things to know, the wire harness is incredibly thick. And because it's so thick, it impedes the ability of the bed, at least for me, and maybe I installed it wrong, to go all the way to the bottom. It just keeps it off the bottom a little bit, and it makes it difficult to route it in the back. Other difficulties, installing the magnetic and the sheet up top, just trying to get that perfect. Really, I'm just kind of making things, I'm grasping at reasons to not do this. I guess the last reason not to buy the Funssor bed is it's expensive, right? It's $200. It's, the whole everything together. If you buy all the pieces, it's around $200. That's half the cost of the printer currently, and that's a lot of money. But listen, if you have first layer issues, or if you're like me and you want a good first layer because you print face down and you want your models to be quality, I'm kind of upset I didn't do it sooner. I really appreciate, like I said, Funssor and doing this with me and getting this done, because it is going to be good. Like, I'm excited to start, hammering out prints on this. Going to do a couple more videos on it, but I really wanted to get this one out there to show you the install and how to get it set up. If you need to learn about Rinkhals and installing Rinkhals, watch my last video, hopefully right here somewhere. And yeah, thanks for staying this long. I much appreciate it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you're going to go with the Funssor bed, or if you already did and what you think about it. And maybe if you had any problems, reach out with questions about, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? I'd like to help you as much as I can, because it really seems like a quality product. And I'm going to say, listen, if Funssor does this good with that bed, I'm really interested in some of their other things they have for the Kobra S1 and what those are like and how they add to this. I'd be great if they would make a bed for my Kobra 3, because this is starting to show signs of warpage. I'll have to tackle that one next. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me. Have a great night, and let's get out of here.